Hey everybody, Frank Durafoli here. I hope you found us okay. And as we're going forward, we're going to kind of go through these slides and we kind of describe what we're going to do here today. I know you'd rather see my smiling face, but I tried to get the technology down so I could show you these slides as we went through the presentation and have video working, but I couldn't seem to get it to work today. So you're really just going to see these slides. I don't believe I'm going to be on video during any of this. You're going to see me. I know that's disappointing, but it's something that we'll live with. Basically, what we're going to do is I'm going to it was really important for me to put these slides in place because there's a lot of material we're going to go through here. This presentation that I'm giving you is something I could literally work with a company for 2 or 3 full days on. So I'm doing what I call a meat and potatoes presentation. So it's going to be kind of really bulleted and kind of getting right to the things that you need to do to help grow your business in a down economy. So as we go through it, again, I would write down any questions that you have at the end. I'm figuring about 35 or 40 minutes in, I'll end and we'll get into a Q&A then. So at that point, probably best for you to post your questions. If you could post them in caps so I can read them easily and go from there. So that's kind of how we're going to do it. So let's kind of jump right in. So the 5 basic ways to grow your business in a down economy. So really this is about strategically planning what you're going to do to make a difference in your business when you're in a down economy. Now here we have a unique situation that we're in because technically we're in a very good economy. In fact, we're in one of the best economies we've been in a very, very long time. However, we've had this medical anomaly that's come about. And basically, because the government's pretty much shut everything down, we're all now hurting because we can't go and conduct business. So we want to position ourselves when we're ready to come out of this, which looks like it may be about 90 days from now. So maybe all of April, all of May, maybe June, or really 1st of July, something along those timeframes. We want to make sure we're putting strategies and putting things in place so we can come out of this quicker. And that's really what's important, is to make sure that we're doing that. We want to create for ourselves what we would call a V-shaped recession. A V-shaped recession would be, as you can imagine, the letter V is you would go into a recession in a very dramatic and fashion that you go straight down into it. And then the other side would be that you then come out of it pretty quickly as well. Versus a lot of times what we have is what's called a U-shaped recession, and that means that you go down into it pretty quickly and you stay there for a while and then you come out. There's really no reason that we shouldn't come out of this kind of little mini recession that we're having in a very quick way, assuming that we put things in place and that everybody's ready to go and start doing what they need to and the economy comes back as it should. So, so we're going to go through these different things. And just so you know, kind of a FYI, the acronym BASIC, obviously, is something I put together. It was not designed as, that was not the name of this program because I didn't plan on having the acronym BASIC. But as I put together kind of the program itself, I realized that, hey, look, this spells the word basic. So we ended up having that. Probably the better word to use would be foundational, but I don't have an acronym I can do with 11 letters, so I don't have to do that. All right. So let's kind of go forward. So also on this session, I know that we have really have 3 different types of people joining the session. We have BNI members from around the world. We have non-BNI members, which is fantastic. Great to have everybody here. And we have BNI directors and executive directors. So this is going to be applicable to everybody. This is not a BNI session in any way, shape, or form. This is a business session and how we apply it to your business. So even if you're a director, consultant, or an executive director, it's going to apply to your business. If you're an executive director and you do BNI full-time, it's going to apply to your region and your business. But also as directors of BNI, it's how we can take this information and help our members with that. So for all that are members and non-members that are listening, again, this is going to be very meat and potato of kind of trying to give you some things that really make a lot of sense that you can implement tomorrow. Some's going to be pretty basic, if you will, that you'll kind of know that already, and other things we're going to build on top of. So let's kind of jump right in if we could. So first I want to kind of emphasize that one of the things that we're really looking to focus on in BNI right now is no member left behind. And I can even expand that to no business owner left behind. So it doesn't matter if they're a BNI member or not. I think, as we all know, if everybody in our community is doing well in their business, we all make more money. Let me give you the example. Let's say you go by there's a shopping mall, a strip mall that you go by, and there's a regular I don't know, a restaurant that's there, and that restaurant opens and it's there for maybe 6 months or a year or whatever it might be. It's there, but now all of a sudden it disappears. Well, understand what just happened. When that business went out of business, it didn't just hurt them, it hurt you. Because the person or persons that own that business are now more than likely in a lot of debt because they put a lot of money into that. They're not going to be able to spend any money in the near future. They employed people. All those people that they employed, they're not getting a paycheck anymore. They're not going to be able to spend money. And we know that what makes a community, a society successful is what we call the velocity of money. And the velocity of money is the turnover of money. And when it's turning over quickly in a society, it means we have a healthy economy going on. That means that you make money, you put some away, you pay some bills, and then you go out and you buy stuff, right? You go to a restaurant or you go somewhere else, wherever that might be, but you kind of go out and you do that, and the money goes back into society. So every time a business does not do well, it hurts all of us because there's that many more people who won't spend money with you because they can't afford it anymore. So that's why this is important, that not just for BNI members, but for every single business owner in the community, we have to try and make everybody more successful. So let's go over the agenda for today. The 5 basic ways to grow your business in any down economy. Number 1, we're going to talk about is business stabilization. How do we stop the bleeding of what's going on? Number 2, assessment and understanding. What is the cause and why? I think we've kind of pretty much got that down, but we're going to talk a little more about that. Okay. Next is going to be strategic growth positioning. So what is the competitive marketplace growth opportunities that are out there? That's a really key factor of what we're going to talk about today. And increase revenue, closed business, meaning new sales opportunities that are out there for us. And then collaborative growth opportunities. How do we develop referral partner relationships that maybe we've never had before? So let's start right in with business stabilization. So the first thing that I want to really focus on is stopping the bleeding. What is the immediate cause of loss? Now, I think we have a commonality here that happens to be the same thing for all of us. The government has pretty much shut down almost every industry to make everybody safer. So I'm not criticizing, but that's kind of where we're at right now. So that's more than likely what your problem is. So we know what that cause of loss is. So we're pretty much there already. What are other direct and indirect losses? So the immediate cause of loss is, we know, let's call it the medical anomaly that's going on, COVID-19. Okay. But when we look at that, we see that, okay, we're not making money anymore as we want to or should be. What's the affected additional income stream? So besides your regular income stream, did you have secondary or tertiary income streams that were there and came together, and now all of a sudden they're not working as well for you anymore? So you have to look at that as, what are the additional income streams that you usually have coming in that you may not have coming in anymore as well? Sometimes for some businesses, and I think when I work with businesses, I tell them, you want to have multiple streams of income. You never want to rely on one stream of income for this exact reason. You want to have different streams of income that, what I also call small, medium, and large streams of income, but also that they're coming in different ways. So for example, if you can't go out and do business now, have you ever developed an online side of your business that people could still be buying products or services from you? I know some people that have a retail business, and they've actually taken the business in the last few years and built more and more of a online retail business. So even though they're hurting because people aren't coming in their store, they still have that other side stream of income, and they're focusing more on making that happen right now. That's what I'm talking about. So if you don't have that, that's something I would write down right now, is develop multiple streams of income, small, medium, and large, and the different types, mediums, meaning different ways that you're making that money, if it's in person, online, etc., whatever that might be. And then you have to look at related expenses that need to be stopped and adjusted. So basically, where else can you save money now? Can you now save money? You have to look at that. And obviously, probably the number one thing for most businesses when they're hurting is labor, is the people that you're paying, because that's usually the biggest expense. As much as we may not want to let these people go, there may be something that we have to do to let them go for a while, or to certainly decrease their salaries, their income. And sometimes the nicest thing to do is to let them go so they can go and get unemployment immediately, with you telling them, look, I'm looking to hire you back. I just don't have the cash flow right now, and when this turns around, we can bring it back in. But you have to look at other expenses that might be going out besides that that you really have to make sure that you're looking at everything. What are the different ways that you're spending money? Again, it could be rent, could be different types of bills right now. And a lot of those things, again, are being somewhat government handled, if you will, where they're asking landlords and stuff to kind of, take it on the chin for a couple of months and not be kicking people out. So those are things that you have to look at and to stabilize your business. And the final thing, leveling of operating expenses. So looking at all your expenses, and you want to keep your operations from what I call liability status, right? When you have regular operating costs going on, you're somehow incorporating that back into your business. So you end up, even though they may be an expense to the business, they end up, it's kind of the cost of doing business. You're putting that cost into your sales and what's going on. So it's not as much of a liability. But now, if you don't really look at those operating expenses, it goes from major liability status, where meaning it can drive you either further into the ground or into bankruptcy or make you close your business. And certainly that's not what we want. So you have to make the right decision. So I know that you've probably done a lot of these things already, but if you haven't done all of them, sit down and figure it out. And probably one of the best people to talk to would be your accountant. If you don't have what I'd call a small business or a business accountant that really understands business and can look at these expenses with you and advise you on where to save money, then that's the person who you need to talk to, or you need to find a new accountant. Okay, so you don't want somebody who just does your taxes. You want someone who's really going to be an advisory person for you. So that's the business stabilization part of that. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Okay, next piece, BNI, assessment and understanding. So how serious is the current situation? Meaning, let's look at it in the next 1, 3, and 6 months. And again, we're going to talk specifically about COVID-19, but this applies to any time you have any type of down economy or your business isn't doing well. What is the current situation and how serious is it? What I mean by that is, if in the next month, let's say the month of April, things continue exactly as they are, it looks like they're going to, what does that mean to you? Does that mean like you're out of business, you're done? What do you have to do? What about in 3 months? What about in 6 months? So you've got to look at that to see what's your lifeline right now. You're like, where are you at? And then what we want to look at is how can you extend that lifeline? So if right now you're looking at going like, oh my God, there's no way 30, 45, 60 days I'm going to be done. Okay, that may not be true. You just may not be seeing that part of your business. We're going to talk more about that later. Okay, so what is the current, how serious is it for the next 1, 3, and 6 months in terms of going forward? Now, let me kind of touch on that for a second. It appears, and obviously I don't know this for a fact, but for everything I've been reading and studying, it appears that we're probably about 90 days from coming out of this. All of April, all of May, probably all of June, that when we hit that mid-June, July timeframe, my guess is that the government's going to start to lift restrictions, we're going to get back to regular business, and we're going to start going back into that. Now, that may be, it's good for everybody, and it may be fantastic for some of you because you have summer businesses that do really well, and some of you may be slower during the summer. But that's about where it's going to be. So when I say 6 months, if we're looking at in 3 months from now, let's say end of June to 1st of July, then we're looking at July, August, and September. So if we're back to, let's call it regular business during those 3, okay, where do you have to be for in 6 months to be where you really want or need to be for that matter? So I don't think this is going to extend out for 6 months, but there's going to be an effect for at least 6 months from this. We want to make sure that we're looking at that ahead of time. So what is the result or cost by doing nothing, right? I've got people right now that I've talked to that have emailed me who have said, oh, Frank, I'm just sitting tight, waiting for this thing to get over. Okay, so that's what I call a non-strategy. That is not going to help your business in any way, shape, or form. That is not what you want to be doing. Okay, so you want to be focused on what are the strategies you can put in place to take advantage of this. Don't do nothing. Nothing is not helping. We're going to talk about what I mean by that in just a few minutes. Okay, but sitting there and just saying, well, I'm just going to hunker down and pay no expenses, and we come out of this, we should be okay on the other side. That's where I'm going to tell you, if we come out of this in 3 months, that remember above, I just said what, about the next 6 months or 6 months from now, you're going to have an after effect. It means, in my opinion, your after effect is going to be a lot worse in 4, 5, and 6 months from now, and maybe past that, because you've done nothing. So take action now in order to go forward. So then we look at what does what best low risk opportunity solution and best high risk opportunity solution. So what do I mean by that? Best low risk opportunity would be, and so risk can be a factor of, you know, money, right? That could be one of them, like getting a loan from somebody, taking on a partnership, going into a new venture with your business, a new way that we can kind of go forward. That's, you know, that's a high risk type of opportunity going forward. I'm sorry, it's not a low risk. That's a high risk type of opportunity because you can get yourself in place. Low risk, you have to look at things, or what are things that I can put in place that don't, okay, give away part of my business, that don't cost me more money, that don't do things along those lines, right? So you have to look at low risk opportunities and high risk opportunities, and why would you want to do one versus the other? It's just a good way to kind of weigh things out. When you look at the two of those, usually you're going to come up with an answer somewhere between the two of them, right? But you look at the lowest risk and the highest risk opportunities and solutions to your business, you've got to look at that and say, okay, what are the things that I can do to make that happen, okay? And then affordability of opportunity solution options. So direct and indirect costs. So let's now say you have a different opportunity or solutions you can put in place. How affordable is that to you right now? Besides putting money directly out of your pocket, you'll have direct costs for that, and you may have some indirect costs from that. And I don't mean to be using a broad stroke here, but obviously we have many different businesses that are listening right now, and I can't talk about a specific business because we're talking about so many. So you have to look at what your direct costs are by taking a certain solution or a certain opportunity, and what the affordability is of that, which may directly go back to what is your high risk, or is that a high risk or low risk opportunity, and what is it that you might want to do about that. And by the way, I'm not encouraging a low risk over a high risk or a high risk over a low risk. That's a personal choice, and it depends on the entrepreneur, the business owner, in terms of what their risk tolerance is in going forward. I'm the type of person that if I think there's a good idea and it involves me, I'm pretty much going to put it all on the line. I believe in myself. I know what I can do in going forward. If I've really thought it through, I'm going to say, no, we've got to take this chance. This is what's going to help me kind of go where I need to. So not everybody's like that. So you have to know what your risk tolerance is in terms of that, and then look at the affordability of opportunity solutions. It's all about assessment and understanding. And then what additional resources are needed. So if you were going to go into a new opportunity, a new solution, what are the additional resources that you need in order to take on that risk, take on that new opportunity or solution in terms of going forward? And when you're looking at those additional resources, is there a cost to them? Or is it a matter of just, working together with people, whatever that might be? So it's really important, besides stopping the bleeding, that you have to assess and understand exactly where your business is, and you have to do it in the most non-emotional manner as possible so you can really get the best out of it, okay? So let's go to our next one. Where are we? Let's see, okay? So strategic growth positioning. Competitors' client base, and those are our target acquisitions, okay? When you are in this type of economy, okay, especially right now when very few people are doing business, people who are hurting, your competitors are hurting as much as you are, okay? So this is a great time for you to try to expand your acquisition of new client base. People you've wanted to come on board as clients before, you should be able to offer some great opportunities for them now, have some great conversations with them now, and they may be open to having conversations they were never open to before, because now they have to save money. So if you can go into them with some type of saving opportunity, you can now have target acquisitions that your clients have maybe been taken care of before, but now you can get them to come over to you. And look, I'm not trying to hurt anybody, but I'm just telling you that if you don't do this, people are going to be doing it to you. This is the basics of business. We're always trying to get new business. And usually when you get new business, you've taken it away from somebody else, right? So I'm not trying to hurt anybody else, but that's just the way business is. More than likely what you do, you're not the first person this person has ever worked with before. And they're always going to be looking for someone who's better, higher tech, more understanding, has better solutions, or is more affordable. And right now, every client you have is going to be questioning, where do I save money? Remember, because again, if they're going through the same process I'm teaching you right now, right, they're going to be looking at where else can we save money. And you may be one of those things that they're thinking about saving money on, saying, we need to start shopping around. We need to see if there's somebody else who can do the same thing that Frank can do, but we can do it in a more affordable way. So your most loyal client is going to be most loyal to themselves, to their wallet, and the success of their business. So you have to make sure that you're offering them something now that's really important. So go to your own client base first and make sure that you're there to work with them. And then our competitive advantage is the next step in this. Our competitive advantage from the client perspective. What makes you different from your competitors? Okay, and I don't mean your opinion on this. I mean, from your client perspective, what is it that truly makes you different? And if you're going to say, well, we've been in business for 25 years and we've had so many, that's not it. Nobody cares about that. Because you've been in business 25 years, I've been in business for 10 or 5 years, really doesn't make a difference. Because you can be in business for 25 years and still not be good at what you do. And I can be good at 5 years and be great at what I do. Right? So it really depends on different factors. So you have to try and look from your client's perspective. Okay, what is it that really makes you the highest quality? This is a great time to have that conversation with them. To call your client base and say, hey, look, I know we're all hurting right now. We want to see how we can do more for you. In terms of going forward, we're going to try and put together some packages that, make it even more affordable in terms of going forward. We want to keep your business. We appreciate you. And one of the things we'd love to know from you is, what is it you're most happy about with us? So why have you stayed with us, the time that you've been with us? What are you happy about? What would you like to see more? Get feedback from your current client base of what they really like about you. Okay, there's a psychological edge to that what you're now doing is you're now getting those people, right, to start thinking about why they like you and what they would like more from you. And basically you're saying, we're going to try and give that to you. So if your competitor calls them, you've already had this pre-conversation and they feel good about you because you did not call them, right? So it's the same thing that if you call somebody, your competitor's client, and they haven't called them yet, you have a leg up on them. So what's your competitive advantage from your client's perspective? And don't try and guess, call them and speak with them about it, okay? So new business wanted. So when we talk about what we call a prospect value proposition, okay, you're looking for new business. So what's the value proposition that you're going to offer to the prospect? What is it that you're going to be doing that makes you stand out, that makes them interested in you if they've been working with someone else for years? Or maybe they haven't worked with anybody in your industry before because they've done it in-house themselves. Okay, what you have to look at is, how do you show greater value that they would say, yes, it would make sense to come over to you? And again, it may not be price, it may be results you get on the back end. You have to look at both sides of that, what we call bottom line and top line, right? The bottom line is, the top line, I'm sorry, in terms of them for expenses is what they're spending on you. The bottom line is what's the result that they're getting on the back end. So you may be able to bring on new clients because of bottom line results you can get, and they won't even think about the top line price. I don't mean they won't think about it. You understand it's got to be fair, but you understand where I'm going with that, right? So you have to look at that. The prospect value proposition is, what is it that you can do to make yourself different, all right? Or what already makes you different. And then it's called our BAMs, okay? And we explain what this means. First of all, there's another thing called ELMS, E-L-M-S. When a new business comes into a new area, if you will, they do what's called an entry-level marketing strategy, ELMS. Okay, an entry-level marketing strategy means a new store opens up, a new product they're coming out with, whatever it might be, and they do an entry-level marketing strategy. They're entering a new market, and so they have to push it really hard. And that's why they'll do, it could be fast food places, and they're doing specials of, 2 for 1, or get a free soda, or free kids meals, or free ice cream, or it could be, going somewhere and you get whatever the 2 for 1 or whatever else it might be. Sometimes that's an entry-level marketing strategy to get you to go and use them over whomever you might have been using up to now, because their deal is so incredible, they actually could be losing a little money on the front end to get your back end business. That's an entry-level marketing strategy, okay? BAMS is a business acquisition marketing strategy. Okay, so what's your business acquisition marketing strategy? What are you putting into place? Okay, and how are you going to implement your marketing to attract the attention of prospects out there? What are you doing different? This all ties together with what we talked about before. So your business acquisition marketing strategy. How do we acquire new business, bring them in, and what is it that we can go to or offer them that makes them say like, wow, this sounds really good. We should definitely have a conversation with them. We should definitely get a proposal for them. We should, whatever it might be, you've got to talk to them. And by the way, right now is the time to do that. Even though they may not buy from you for 3 or 6 months from now, depending on how the market goes, you're positioning yourself now. That's why I'm saying doing nothing is not a strategy. You can be doing all these things right now and getting yourself in place to be successful on the back end of that, okay? So let's go to the next one. Again, if you have any questions I'm going through, write them down. I'm going to do Q&A in just a few minutes, okay? So increase revenue, obviously something that is important to all of us. So what are the products and services offered now? Are there other products and services that you can offer that maybe you haven't before? Or are there products and services that you've always had, but you've never really sold? Maybe they weren't the most profitable ones for you or the biggest sale item. You're saying like, you know what? More people would buy this now because it's a little bit cheaper. So how can you, what are the products and services that are offered so you can try and increase revenue in that way? At least get people to think about it right now in terms of going forward of, okay, that might make sense to start with that type of program. So if I'm a HVAC company, I'm offering maintenance contracts, right? And they've been X dollars per month usually. So maybe I offer that service. And what I'm doing is for 6 months, it's half that price. So the first 3 months are free or whatever that is. All of a sudden, that's, again, that's you could call that a business acquisition marketing strategy, but you're looking at your products and services offered. And you're saying, out of the ones that I currently have now, how can I reposition them in the marketplace in either who I'm selling them to or the amount of money I'm asking for, or let's call it the package that you're putting together for it, okay, how you're repackaging it. So you've got to look at things that way. Or are there new products or services that you haven't offered before that now you're saying this might be a good time to introduce that? You see a need in the marketplace that you've never gone into before, and this might be something you go into. Now, this would tie back into low risk and high risk opportunity and solutions, right? Does it make sense to offer a new product or service? What is it going to take to do that? Is it more money investment? Is it easy? What are the resources that you need? So you can see that all these intertwine to each other. So now you have some new ideas, but you have to say, okay, is that a low risk opportunity, a high risk opportunity? Okay, how are we going to get it across? How are we going to make it happen? All right. Increase revenue in terms of marketing and sales strategies. Okay, do you really have a marketing and sales strategy in place, or are you just kind of letting people know about it? I think this is really important to think about of what can you be doing to market yourself more effectively. So here's my suggestion to you. No matter what business you're in, okay, my suggestion is start thinking in verticals, not in horizontal sales. Verticals means, so even if you have a business that every